Hello, good evening, Friday night. I didn't see a lot of streams going. They had verbal combat and a few drama panels. I said, let me just make something for some quiet, relaxing, intelligent conversation if we can manage to pull that off. So that's what this is. Open panel, no topics, no agenda, just a space to come up and talk. Um, as usual, I prioritize men and their needs, mental health, neurodivergence, etc. There's kind of a hierarchy here, and it's somewhat fluid and shifting, but definitely centers men. Speaking of, hey Chuck, what's up? Do you want a gash? Anything else going on in the panelverse that I missed? Um, I'm really kind of not only looking for an alternative, but trying to provide an alternative. So I definitely want to, in addition to men and mental health, I want to prioritize intelligent conversation over drama. Uh, Whew, it is so hot here. Damn. I got the fan on and everything. They don't build for in the Seattle area. Most buildings don't build for air conditioning because it's you only need it for like a few months out of the year, so it's just not economically feasible, I guess, to build air conditioning into the units. And so we in the hot months we get by. I checked the news. Did they do a debate, an interview, debate or something? I don't know. None of it looked interesting to me. Oh, there's parade photos. They're not that different from what showed up in the video yesterday. All right, well, that's all the news I have. Let me see if there's Twitter. What was lame? The drama? All right, let's. Nope, don't really see anything on Twitter. Let's see who's streaming. I just created this as an open panel, as a space, kind of a third space tonight for people that want it. But if nobody shows, I'll give it like half an hour, 45. I'm looking at verbal combat to try to figure out who's on. Let's see. A lot of people I don't recognize. They're talking about psychopaths. Wild Arca. Oh, they're talking about whales being sociopaths, I think. Oh, the Biden interview was lame. That it looked just from reading the headlines, it looks like it was lame. I didn't even see anything interesting about it in the headlines. It just gives more little breadcrumbs for people to build their narrative, whatever narrative their hopes and fantasies are embodied in. It's kind of good having two crappy choices because then you don't get overinvested in the election one way or the other. Or I'm not anyway. If Trump wins, great. I'll feel a lot better about the DEI stuff and the equity stuff. And if Biden wins, well, it's 4 more years of what I've already been tolerating. Maybe 4 years. Speaking of equity, we're watching another Survivor season. This one is from 2004, I believe. And one of the contestants, her title, because they put their like occupations, is equity research assistant, and it didn't strike me. It didn't strike me at the time. It meant nothing when I watched the season live. But going back and seeing it today, it's interesting that was her job title even back then, and it never comes up in the show, but it's just something that caught my eye in light of today's world. Equity, equal outcomes. Let's see what the AI has to say about equity. Because what I think, the thinking, to me, it's very shallow, superficial, low res thinking. But they see disparity. Like all the little kids start out at first grade at more or less the same, except I that wasn't even true in my day. I didn't even start out at the same. And then if some people, like say you get to 4th or 5th grade and some people still haven't picked up math or reading, it's not because they didn't have the ability. It's there's something in the environment that impacted those kids differently than the ones that did, or the home environment, or something. But I don't think they want to see it as a reflection of innate ability or interest, or factor that into it as one of the possible factors. And this is woke AI, so let's see. We'll get a very still-manned perspective. The word equity can have two main meanings. Okay, there's a financial meaning of it, which is ownership interest in an asset. Okay, so that's not the equity they're talking about. Fairness and justice. And that also reminds me of Jonathan Haidt's Moral Foundations, where he has a theory that we have different moral values, or we prioritize moral values differently, partially based on these evolutionary instincts that are deep within us. And some of us have more of an instinct for like caring and protecting from harm. Some of us have more of an instinct for loyalty, or respect for authority, etc. And so different people prioritize them in different ways, and that can cause some of these conflicts that we have. And fairness and justice is one of those moral foundations. And it's mostly found on the left, but there's a version found on the right called proportionality, which actually makes more sense to me. It's not everything equal, but it's everything according to the proportion of that it's been earned by the person. So it's still fair, but it's fair proportionately according to merit, or whatever metric you use. Okay, why can't I find this? Let's see, moral foundations theory. Here, I'll put the link. And I actually, there's a test you can take, and I actually took it online. One of my streams has me taking the moral foundations test. I don't quite remember where I fell, but it surprised me where the norm was on all of them, how low the norm was for that particular moral foundation. And I do remember that the one for authority, being a Satanist and being where I'm from, I was much higher in authority, I think, than the norm. In fact, let me pull it up. How do I get there? If you want to take the test, it's at yourmorals.org. I'll put that link as well. Christ is King. Can I see your little face? The face of Jesus, the face of the Lord, shine upon me. No. All right, I'm going to assume you're a troll. Actually, I'm going to assume you're the troll. The one that usually comes backstage. All right. Yeah, this is my moral foundations. My morals. I took the moral test. See, this is the average. So I'm a little lower in care. Equality. And again, this is equality in the sense of fairness and justice and stuff, not in the sense of proportionality, which is more of the right-wing version of equality. But they do the test for the traditional concept of it. Look at the loyalty. Okay, I want you to notice this loyalty one. And see what I'm talking about, how low the average is? It's barely over half. It's a 1 to 5 scale. So I'm much more, I've always been that way. If people treat me right, employers or friends or boyfriends, whatever, they will get the world from me. It's when people start fucking around, playing games, bullshitting, mistreating, etc., that the loyalty ends. I'm not loyal to dysfunction. I never have been. And look at the authority one, kind of the same thing. I'm about the same rank at loyalty and authority, and the norm is about the same too. That's very interesting. So anyway, that's moral foundations, and equity builds off of one of those moral foundations, that middle one that said equality. Equity can also refer to fairness and justice, particularly when considering how to address different needs. I mean, addressing different needs, I understand. I mean, I was a special ed teacher, for crying out loud, and I have my own different needs that I've had to get addressed in my life. It's about recognizing that people don't all start from the same place and may need different resources or treatment to achieve a fair outcome. What does a fair outcome mean? They achieve the outcome they get in proportion to the effort they put into achieving that outcome. That is a fair outcome. It's a proportionally fair outcome. You want an outcome, you want everybody to learn math at the same rate or learn to read at the same rate and skill level. And if they don't, you think it's something wrong with society. Because listen what it says. It's recognizing that people don't all start from the same place. The same place, what? Socially, economically, domestically, physiologically, biologically, what is the place you're assuming that we all start the same from? Because genetically, we don't all start from the same place. And I'm talking about on an individual level. Now, I'm not even making a group claim. In my family, I had I had some steps, but I had 4 like blood siblings that would share the same genetics. And we all have different talents. I was like book smart. My sister is very people smart. My brothers have different types of smartness, like mechanical intelligence, that I don't have. So all of that just kind of emerged as they were growing up from a very early age. And we didn't all start from the same place. That would be weird if we were all clones of each other and started from the same place. I don't know if they mean the tabula, like Locke's tabula rasa, blank state, or Aristotle's blank slate, but I'm not a blank slatist. Just my own body, my own physiology, and my own life experiences has taught me there's too much in me that's innate, that conflicts and contrasts with society, that if I could just make disappear overnight, I would. That didn't come from the environment. I'm just too aware of the role that the body and the brain and the nervous system plays on an individual sense of self and like ability to interface with society. So there's no way I could be a blank slatist with my experiences. Hey, Jack. Ooh, blessings. I don't know if that's good for me to have. I'm not gonna go up in a puff. Is it gonna be like the little girl in The Exorcist? Are you coming to exercise me? Could be a comfort with familiar. I'm very ironically, I'm usually the spontaneity is what everybody complains about. That's why it kind of strikes me as odd that I would fall so high on loyalty and authority when my unpredictability, my energy, and spontaneity is what most catches people's attention. But I'm very that's also a Cajun trait. Cajuns are they have strong family ties, strong ties to their place, their land, family, culture, traditions. So some of it could be that, some of it could be, I don't know. It always seemed good to me to be loyal. I've always had best friends, and we've made good best friends to each other. And it never made sense to Like I could see the advantage of loyalty even as a kid. It never made sense to not be loyal. For what reason would I screw a friend over? Unless I had a reason, unless they gave me a reason first. But I like a friendship was such a good thing to have. I was motivated to keep it. And I knew that you had to be like there's a certain amount of loyalty required to do that. But I was never loyal to dysfunction, self-harm, abuse. If people were going down a dark path, I've had friends before that got into heavy drug use, and we kind of had to take a break from each other. And then when they got back in recovery, we could resume the friendship, etc. I'm not going to stand by you through self-inflicted or self-chosen, self-determined, like the consequences of your negative choices. And so I've never been loyal to that. I've never been loyal to codependence, abusive relationships, things like that. And again, I've talked before about that hierarchy of values that happens in that shift from unilevel to multi-level. And some of that hierarchy was very clear at a very early age. Like it was better to be loyal than disloyal, etc. It was just a very clear moral choice. I mean, that's not to say I haven't had friendships implode. They have, but you could trace the process of it happening, and there were definite reasons for it. It was not out of disloyalty. It was more out of like what you see on the Panelverse. But most of my friends, and this was my norm for until I moved out here, really, I have from childhood. They're like 30, 40 years old by now. The friends I made in childhood and at the schools I went to and after that, they're still here to. I could pick up the phone right now and it's like picking up where we left off 20 years ago. They're that strong of friendships. And so when I make friends, new friends, I think I'm making that level of friendship. And I've had to learn. And Vegas helped me too. Because Vegas is very socially fluid. Like your best friend is your next enemy waiting to happen. And so you have to constantly be ready to pivot. It's like Vegas is a lot like Survivor and those like Machiavellian, Hobbesian state of nature type shows and the Panelverse. So that was the first time in my life where I had to like evaluate friendships constantly in the moment and where you stood. And that's why having somebody like Mike was so valuable, because we had that strong friendship connection that could weather all that we could trust and that was stable. And we were both loyal to it, and it worked. It worked better than anything I've been able to do since. That's why I've always said with the right people, I'm a natural collaborator, and I'm a great collaborator with the right people, but I can't do the dysfunction. If we can't resolve it or get past it, then I have to jet. Honor is very important to you. I'm told I come from what's called an honor culture, and like the South in general. And honor is important to me, and respect and all those noble values that I think I romanticized more then than I do now that I have a more realistic picture of humans and how they work. But if somebody's willing to give it to me, I still honor it. I honor, I'm still willing. I am naive enough, and you see it on these panels a little bit. I am naive enough to still do business on a handshake. I don't need a big complicated contract. If you tell me you're going to do this thing, I'm willing to trust you and see if you get it done. And I'll give you one shot. And if you do it, great. We've established trust, or we've taken a good step. If you haven't, well, then I know not to trust you with that anymore, and I'll go find someone else. So I'm willing to like give somebody that first little chance. Plus, it's easier for me to do things informally, and assuming things like loyalty and honor and all that is, I think it kind of comes from a culture where you have to be able to just get things done and trust the people around you. And Cajuns were like that too. Like as a people, we had to learn to do that with each other to survive. So it could be some of that too. But like if I went on one of these reality shows like Survivor, I'm telling you right now, America is going to hate me. I will be a villain. I tell myself this going in. If I actually had to do it in person, that might be a different story. I just know when I play board games, I play with my intellect, and all moral and social rules go out the door. If it's allowed by the rules, I'm going to do it. I will not cheat. I want to win fair. I want to beat the game fair and square. I don't want to have to cheat to beat the game. That's not a victory to me. But outside of that, I will do anything to win. If they allow me to push my grandmother in the street in front of a car, I will do that. So if I go on one of these reality shows, it's all off. I'm giving away my strategy now, so don't watch the stream, future contestants. But you never know. If I find the right person, I may decide that giving loyalty and honor is the best way to play the game. But the point is, there's certain situations, and they're artificial constructs where I'm open to different values. But in real life, I've only been able to do it that one way. And if you screw, you have to screw me first. For me to screw you, you have to screw me first. And then all bets are off. The minute you take the first shot, that's it. It shifts to another game board. Oh, I was doing equity. Let's see. Yeah, so people not like starting from the same place. And I understand needing different resources. That's what I do. Like you look at each kid's educational needs, educational. I don't know about social, emotional, and all that, and the schools being the place to socialize kids into that kind of stuff. So I'm going to focus on the educational. A good teacher should be able to assess each child's educational needs and adapt their teaching style to their needs. Roughly, that's the ideal. Not every teacher is going to be perfect at it, and you're going to get different results from different teachers. But there are teachers like me that are stronger at it than a lot of mainstream teachers. And we end up in the special ed classrooms because that's where that skill set is most needed. That's where you see most of the differentiation. For example, an educational program that promotes equity might offer additional support to students from disadvantaged backgrounds. Like what? I'm so confused. Can somebody come up and explain this to me? They mean black kids or poor kids or whatever, which we were poor. We never got extra. I mean, I got the gifted support, but that was part of the special ed support in the state I was in, which is, again, identifying my needs, and then the state moved in to meet my specific needs. That's exactly what it was designed to do. So that was in the 70s. So we already had that 50 years ago. But what kind of support? All right, it's one of two things. Either the students that are learning are getting some kind of extra support outside of what the classroom is giving them, either from their home, or they can afford tutors or whatever, or they just have this innate ability to just grasp it at the rate that is like expected for that grade level. So let's say it's a combination of those two. What kind of support are you going to give the people? Because the teacher should already be doing that in the classroom. Or if it's because of special ed, and let me explain what special education is in the United States. It's not the kids that are just failing and making bad grades. It's if your potential is determined to be here, but your results or the level you're producing at is lower. So if you have the potential to be a B student or an A student and you're making C's and D's, then you're not living up to the potential that you've been identified as having. And they have ways of determining that. So special ed could be one of the interventions or remediations that address that. But if your potential is a C student and that's all your potential is ever going to be, and you're making C's, that's not special ed. Or if your potential is D and that's what you're making, you are achieving at your potential. So that's not considered special ed. It's just when there's that gap between perceived potential and achievement, actual achievement. And so there's things you could do to kind of help. There's that kind of support, but the schools are already, like I said, in the 70s, they were delivering it. And I have worked in that system. I was a teacher in special ed classrooms for a few years. Or they're going to give them extra tutoring that they may not be getting from home. Maybe their home environment doesn't support education. This was common with a lot of kids from lower income backgrounds that I taught, where the home environment itself didn't place a high value on education. So when the kids left school and got home, they didn't really have any, so they were on their own. They had to have some intrinsic motivation to master the material. Outside of that, there was nothing in their environment that was going to support or inspire that. And so I can see providing opportunities there, like maybe outside of school support, but other places kind of do that anyway. There's like community center programs, some churches do that kind of stuff. I know there's volunteer organizations. I was a volunteer literacy tutor at one point. So how much is that the role of the school, and how much if that is the role of equity specialist? So that's the kind of questions that this is generating just from the little AI summary. Yeah, Jack, I agree, and I have always felt that with you. I do think we're very similar. We have very similar makeups, personality types, temperaments, and we've had similar life experience and kind of social struggles. But at the same time, I see some things on your show, like I'm thinking particularly of Moose the other day when you didn't like the answer he gave, and I know y'all have a history, so it might not have been about just that one incident, but stuff like that made it. You're a complex person. I'm sure you know that. I am too. And it just creates a lot of cognitive dissonance trying to reconcile all those aspects. But that's not to invalidate the part you're talking about here. I just never know what Jack I'm going to get at any given moment. And, you know, some people could say that about me too, or any of us. So that is the thing of equity. No, not that Oasis. Like a calm in Vegas. That's what Mike and I called our home. We had our own home. We had roommates a few times, but sometimes it was just the two of us, and we called it the Oasis, and we worked very hard to make it be a little spot of sanity, because Vegas is a crazy town. I'm telling you, it is cutthroat. It is Pirates Cove, and when we walked through the front door of our house, we wanted it to be a place where we could come, get away from all that, have a healthy environment where we like support each other, listen, validated, resolve conflict, mature ways, everything. And we had that for years, and it was so healthy. And it kind of set a new norm for me that I've been trying to achieve ever since. So I know how to do it because I've done it before. You just have to have the right people to do it with. But creating that Oasis, and that's what we called it, the Oasis. And that's exactly what it was. I know. I never did. I was never into Oasis. That was in the 90s when it was becoming like that indie pop or power pop, whatever. I like the later indie pop, like the actual do-it-yourself indie pop that sprung up all over America in the late 90s and especially the 2000s. That was really the peak of it to me. But it was nothing like Oasis was doing. Oasis was just very generic sounding. I remember Gallagher. Hey, Plasma. And in fact, I liked him growing up because I could just see, I didn't know what politics was. So I just saw all the celebrities as they were either entertaining or not. And Gallagher was entertaining with the watermelons and smashing all the fruit and all that. But then when I was a liberal and fight for gay rights, all of a sudden I noticed how like right wing and just bitter he was. If y'all, for all the people that are bitter right now with the system and politics in the world, y'all should take a look at Gallagher. He might be your guy. And so I really got turned off of him then, like politically. And now I have to go back and watch him now that I've kind of shifted and seeing, Oasis Gallagher. Okay. I'm sure that's not the first time they've been mistaken. See, that shows how into Oasis I was. I know their videos from MTV, and that is it. I've never owned an Oasis CD single. single, cassette, anything. I didn't even record their songs off the radio, although nobody was really doing that in the 90s. I don't know why. I mean, we're all on CDs, but why would we still not want to capture songs on cassette? Free music. All right. Well, I've gone about half an hour. I'm willing to go another half if you want, but I don't really have anything else to say about the equity stuff. I think it's a superstition. I don't understand it in like real world applications. I'm trying to understand how it would be applied in like school situations. I know it comes up in gifted programs among gifted people themselves that have this weird belief, and these are gifted people now, that black people are not, like, teachers are deliberately or maybe not intentionally, but they're overlooking black gifted people, and they're not being noticed and identified into these gifted programs because there's a bias. There's this tendency to not see black people as gifted, and that's just so bizarre to me. Like, there were black people in every gifted program I was a part of, even in the 70s and 80s. Because they're not identified at the same rate. So if you have like a class with like a bunch of white gifted people, they expect the same amount of black gifted people. Otherwise, there's some kind of suspicion of racism involved. And this is coming from within gifted people themselves. In fact, there is a case in North Carolina. A teacher at one of the gifted schools got fired for presenting like viewpoint diversity or something and examining this, and it made the gifted students feel uncomfortable and like he was racist, and they fired him, and he's doing a lawsuit right now. And I need to get an update, actually. Jack, here is my question, and it's the same question I've put to you many times. How are you going to end the wars? Humans have been warring since probably before there have even been humans. How is that suddenly going to just end? And I know that you say there's a spiritual catalyst that's going to happen, but that's the part that people like me that are more like empirical, naturalist oriented have a trouble understanding. It's a nice wish. I mean, I wish there could be a spiritual awakening and that we could all be morally perfected. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, there's somebody in the back. Can you flash your cam real quick so I'll know it's you? We have a panelist, perhaps. Yep. All right, I got you. All right, bringing you on now. Hello, Mr. Busker.
Hey there, how you doing?
Oh, I'm okay. How are you?
Pretty good.
What's been going on?
Not much. I was thinking how funny it is, like the panel verse and the feuds and all this crazy shit.
What's happening there? Or do I want
Well,
to know?
just like all over the place. I mean, like everybody's got a problem with somebody.
Oh, yeah. But I think, in fact, I know because I've done it. I think there are like healthier ways of resolving those problems and unhealthier ways of resolving those problems. And so people have a range of options to choose from, how they want to proceed with the kind of stuff.
If they do, I mean, like it's just like, a lot of people just like whatever. And yeah, exactly. But like you're right. I mean, if they want to try and heal the wound.
Yeah. And I mean, and it's different stages of awareness too. When people are really raw and in pain, sometimes they just lash out at whatever it is they think is causing that pain. And it could shift too. It's not even always the same target or stimulus. And maybe gradually they'll come to some other kind of awareness. Jack, you mean like Iran and like Putin just went to North Korea? Are you gonna encourage them to stop the fighting? I'm sure. Like I don't disagree with you it just doesn't seem like they're going to respond to that as a tactic. That's where I'm kind of stuck on this.
There's never gonna be world peace, Talcott. I'm sorry.
In fact, I kind of think it's getting where I kind of think we're heading into a kind of new Cold War with the shifting geopolitics.
And I'm sorry, Talcott. I'm sorry, brother. We're not heading anywhere.
And I think so too, because it was Freud that said the civilization started when the first person hurled an insult instead of a rock, like they used words instead of a weapon, and that was the beginning of the ability to shift to some other means of resolving conflict that was more civilized. And I agree. I am not a violent person. Oh my God, I am the last person that needs to be getting into a physical fight. I never resort to violence as a solution. So all of my solutions are verbal and mostly dialogue based if I could help it, if I could make it be that way.
Yeah, I don't want to get in any scruffs anymore, man. I'm fucking 44, man. I'm done with fighting people.
Yeah, with me, it just kind of happens. I just find myself in it. It's like a whirlpool. You get sucked in it more than that. I guess it's learning how to avoid it quickly enough.
Physically fighting people.
It's like quicksand.
I'm done with physically fighting people. That's what I meant.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
I mean, like panel burst shit. It pops up, and then it can be bad, and then wounds can be healed, and then it can be bad again. Like whatever.
Yeah, rupture and repair kind of thing.
Exactly.
And that works as long as it doesn't cross certain lines, and the lines are different for each person. But when people cross my lines, there's no repair at that point.
I hear you there, man. Every girlfriend I ever had crossed some lines, so they're done.
With you?
Yeah, I'm done with girls. Well, I'm done with relationships in general.
Well, me too, but I don't know if that's voluntary. Mr. Talcott, welcome.
Thank you.
Talcott, how you doing?
Fabulous.
Fabulous.
I wonder if there's any discussion to some of the convictions. Wars can't end?
Yeah, they can't because there's a lot of money going around.
Exactly.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. That's another...
Hello. Well, no, that's exactly what I've been saying. Behind every war is the banking system. It's a criminal Ponzi scheme that's being enabled, and everyone's saying, oh, we've got to have this. It's for trade. It's nonsense.
Well, these scumbags have lots of money, and we can't do anything about it.
You don't think we need a military? I feel safer with one.
Well, wouldn't you feel safer without enemies?
Yeah, but we don't have that. I don't. We're
right.
I'm not naive enough to think we're going to have that in my lifetime.
But that's what I'm talking about, Jeff.
I'm just not that trusting.
Let me talk this through, please.
Oh man.
I know you don't like your challenge to be more, but
what
do you want it to be just
Wait
us?
A minute. What Talcott? What? I know what.
I know he threw a little dig at you, so go ahead.
What are you talking about, dude? Come on. What the fuck are you talking about?
Well, please forgive my dig.
Because I don't mind if you want it to just be us, Jack.
Yeah, I'm out of here, dude. Fuck this shit. I don't need Talcott jizz.
All right, we'll talk again one day when he's not.
Yes, yeah, man.
It can be us.
Shit. Fuck this shit.
All right, Buster. Take care. All right, Jack.
I appreciate his choice. He's not a fan of mine, and I appreciate. Thank you, Jeff.
I think that's internal locus of control. People self-determining where to put their time and energy. I support that.
Yes, and that's actually what I've been learning for myself too. Jeff, you're sharing a lot of the same lessons I've been learning. You're doing. We're on similar paths. So
I've always thought we were in some ways, probably more ways than not.
yes, that's what I believe. I truly trust. There's a reason. I believe there's greater reasons, no coincidences. There's a reason we met, even in the online chaos and stuff like that. And the timing that we finally did cross paths when we did. But here's what I want to present. The truth doesn't have to be argued about, right? The truth doesn't need to be fought over. The truth is true and it stands alone. It simply requires the willingness of people to accept it or to learn it. And what I'm talking about, people on the outside helping to end the fighting, I'd like to be a voice of reason, right? And bring more people from the public. And let's go speak to the people in Congress and tell them to knock off their fighting. This Republican Democrat bullshit can end. It's
So you're not
unimportant.
even talking about external wars. You're talking about like even within the United States, the polarization.
Starting within the US. But as soon as we get control of the US government, that means we're breaking away from the Federal Reserve criminal systems. And without that monetary system being the debt burden and obligation of the entire world, the leaders will have more willingness. We'll bring new ideas for these people to think about. Instead of wars being the solution, we'll remind them that diplomatic and peaceful solutions work. Let's prove it. All they got to do is give us a chance.
I think we do both because I think the diplomatic, peaceful solutions have worked many times.
Yes.
And we probably prefer that. That's probably our go-to solution because only Congress can declare war anyway. So it has to. There's a high bar to clear to have actual war.
True, but the downside is the record reflects that under the leadership of Joe Biden, the American representatives have literally stood in the way of ceasefire discussions on so many occasions in Israel, not to mention the constant funding and pushing in the Ukraine-Russia conflicts. The people serving the American leadership are so confused. They don't know what they're doing. They're serving evil and they don't know it.
Are you part of this spiritual warfare theory?
Yes.
What is that?
I don't know.
Explain that to me.
Well, that's why I was trying to correct myself because I answered without fully knowing what you were talking about.
Oh.
Spiritual warfare, though?
Yeah, I'm not sure myself. I just hear people talk about it on these panels a lot. Like, in addition to just political warfare between human groups, there's some kind of spiritual something going on behind the scenes as well.
Yes. I truly, truly believe in that. I haven't personally experienced it, but I've heard enough firsthand or secondhand recorded and public testimonies, various people, experiences with angelic forces, as well as truly demonic entities beyond just the physical. So we live in a very supernatural world. Natural is normal, maybe even supernatural is normal. But what mankind has grown accustomed to with this civilization, sitting on our asses all day, blocking ourselves from the sun and the fresh air and all that Mother Earth brings.
99% of the panel verse.
Yep, I know. I found my way here and I'm trying to find out what do I do from here.
I liked your little walkabout. You consider more of those. I think it expanded your reach and it got you out touching grass. Literally almost.
I'm outside quite often, actually. I I've gotten to where I don't really drive out to the lakes and the rivers, and there's mountains. There's all sorts of beautiful places for me to go that are very close. But I've gotten to the point where as soon as I step outside, I am in nature. I
Oh,
feel the breeze. I feel the sun. I'm admiring the plants, the trees.
uh,
It's nature outside.
yeah.
We were born into a crazy world, and I didn't believe this world could change. But then I learned that I could change. And when I realized I can change, that means pretty much anybody can change.
You
Given
think
the
so?
right, yes, given the right opportunity, incentive, and support, anyone can change.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of, yes, anyone can change. I don't know if they will change, and there might be parameters
Right?
that change can happen within, but I'm willing to hold, at least as a hope or an ideal, that it's possible for anybody potentially to change. I don't
But
think we're fixed and like like no free will and that kind of stuff.
what I've come to believe is that our attachments to the old, who we used to be and the way things were,
Mm-hmm.
that's unnatural. Because what nature is it grows. Growth is change. We're here to adapt, to experience, to explore, not just within ourselves who we are, but who we are in relation to other people, who we are in relation to the world. We're here to discover we're all connected.
That's that's kind of scary.
It is, but it's true. And Jeff, oh,
Go ahead.
but this is where I was going with Congress, right? Truth is scary, but it doesn't matter. The truth is true. And so if we can get the truth presented publicly, which I'm anticipating, a voice for the people being invited to speak to Congress, I believe that probably would be mainstream newsworthy, and it'd be public record. And so we
Like
place
CNN or C-SPAN, you'd want to be on.
I actually hope these ideas, I don't care if it's carried with me, but I want these ideas of peace. Here's how wars end. Wars end when people stop fighting. When people stop fighting and they start communicating, resolve can be found, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially when there's no secrets. It's these secrets and these lies that have enemies, not just between the states, but the secrets and lies have enemies between the government and the citizens, the government and the freedom. The wars on drugs, the wars on obesity, the war is against humanity.
Have you contacted your local congressperson and
I've been
started there?
I've been trying. Matter of fact, I called the DC and local offices on Tuesday because I was inspired. Why not? What if this could be God's plan, that Independence Day is celebrated around the world for July 4th? Independence Day meaning independence, freedom from the corruption of the banking system, and the commitment from the states of reform. Because there's people in North Korea, people in China, there's people that have it a lot worse censorship than we do.
It's just always seemed like we were so powerless over whatever's going on in North Korea that you feel for them from a distance, but it's not anything you can worry about practically. So you just don't,
Well,
or I don't.
I agree. However, we apply those same things to the people sleeping in our streets in the communities.
Yeah.
We tell ourselves there's nothing I can do, which is partially true.
Yeah.
But it's also partially true that we can work together to getting better solutions to the people in our streets, and we can get better diplomatic resolve for the people in other nations.
Jack,
Yes, brother.
I am with you there because I have tried. I worked in one of the crisis centers that would take in the home. I saw everything they were doing, and I saw everything they could be doing, and I tried. I got a little group of peers together. We tried to go to the CEO. He said he would have a meeting with us, and then I got fired like a few days before that meeting happened. They do not listen to me. They listen to people like themselves, and that is it.
Okay, Jeff.
But I agree with you. There are better ways to approach this problem, this crisis, and they are not listening.
Not yet. Not yet, but we'll find a way to get their attention. And this is where I've been really trying to build community and team. If I can get the attention and get some of these local pastors involved, get their support behind me or with me, or even some of these organizations that are aligned with these things that I'm doing, I've got a better chance of getting the attention. And here's, Jeff, not to keep going, but here in Spokane, there's some amazing heroes, right? Some people out there on the street every single day trying to help those people who are struggling. And what I realized is they've already faced and battled and educated themselves so much in how to do the administration of a nonprofit, right? And do all this stuff under the systems. Well, these people are doing amazing, but here's what I know I do an amazing job of. I'm an excellent advocate. I am an excellent advocate and a representative. And so there's ways we can get this stuff done, Jeff.
Why don't you, have you looked into the advocacy organizations where you are?
A while ago I did, but it's been I've been.
I don't. You're interested in the federal level, right? Because the state level, I know that they have advocacy days where different people can show up and different groups can show up. Because we used to go for the mental health advocacy day, and you can speak. Like the path to advocacy in front of the state legislature is a lot smoother if that was an option for you. And there's advocacy groups out there that like plan their agenda and they get together and they plan how they're going to present, etc. And if you got involved with those advocacy groups, they're constantly going to the Capitol to advocate.
Jeff, thank you. I hadn't considered looking in that direction.
And like they have some for mental health, substance use, etc., but they'll have some for any issue you're concerned with. They'll have some for banking or climate or world peace or whatever. So you just find the advocacy group that's devoted to the issue that you're interested in and just do some networking. Like,
thank you.
Give them a call or drop by and check out what they're doing. They might have a Facebook or social media presence.
I'll check it out. Hey, sorry to keep interrupting, but I want to thank you. You've been living a life of service too, Jeff. Good for you.
Blush.
Well, I respect. You're a humble man, but what's true is true, and you've made a choice to try and take care of the community and other people around you. And that's what our world needs more of. You're a great example, brother.
Well, I'm just going to say thank you. I don't know how much of a choice it is and how much of it is just instinct. Like I can't not do it.
Right? I know. But you seem here. That's what I learned about myself. The life I lived, I couldn't have lived different than I did. Mm-hmm. I mean, I could have made some better choices, but the good ones, I didn't have a choice. That's something I had to do. And it took me a while to get comfortable with who I was and comfortable enough to say, okay, Jack, you're not such a bad guy. You can relax a little bit. You know, you can enjoy life and enjoy who you're becoming.
Yeah, that seems like a healthy attitude.
That's what I've learned. Hey, it's Friday night, and I may wander around downtown and see what the social atmosphere looks like.
Oh, like stream it?
No, just
Uh,
wander alone,
okay.
and hopefully not end up alone. But
Yeah, well, if you get into anything interesting, let us know.
I will. I appreciate it. Hey, thank you to you and to those who tuned in. Share the love and the like.
Oh,
And
yeah, if you haven't subscribed, we'd sure appreciate it.
I hope
Thank
that
you, Jack.
thing. Blessings, brother. Thank you.
Take care. Oh, that, I don't know. That seemed disrespectful somehow. Like, thank you, Jack. Say what you will about Talcott. I've never had a bad experience with him. My experiences come from watching him with other people, and I kind of cringe sometimes. But I've never had a bad conversation with him at all. So, thank you again. Okay, Daniel. Look, maybe, but so what? He's a grown man. It's I don't kick shape or judge that kind of stuff. Well, thank you too, Jack. Anytime. I'm serious. And I don't know a lot of Spokane, but I know some of the people here that know people in Spokane. So if you find organizations or need connections or resources or something, just hit me up. I'll see what I can do. All right. Well, I'm almost at an hour, and I think this has been a pretty good night so far. So I think I'll let it go a few more minutes, and if nobody else wants to come up. Busker, if you're out there and you want to come back up, we can chat. Otherwise, I guess I should see. I'm so bad at self-promotion. Please like and subscribe, or at least subscribe. What do likes do? Do they do anything? I don't care about the algorithm because most people don't find me through YouTube anyway. They find me through existing networks. So I'm more concerned with the subscriber numbers so we can hit our 500. So at least subscribe if you want to. I don't want you to clog up your feed with channels you don't intend to watch. And also just tell your friends or share it on social media if it's something you think other people might benefit from. I'll put my social thing, my Cash App, and we're a very grassroots volunteer donation based operation right now, and looking to change that, but for now I do appreciate all of your participation, watching, commenting, coming on the panel, sharing your thoughts, all of that. The Panelverse, much like life, is a very diverse, multifaceted place, fraught with peril and opportunity. And AOL was like this too. AOL had the same kind of dysfunction and the same kind of connection and exhilaration and dopamine and all that stuff. And so you kind of take the good with the bad, but there's something that keeps me coming back here. And it's not to wallow in the trash side of it, the drama side. It's that despite all of that, even with that, and I don't look for that to go away, even with that and within that, even some of the same people involved in that, there's still something higher, something with more potential that keeps bringing me back here. Maybe I'm the deluded fool, but until it stops calling me back, y'all keep seeing me. Oh, yeah, I don't care about the recommended. That's the little YouTube menu thing. That's outside of my attention tunnel, so it's hard for me to. Oh wow, that is I don't. That does seem high. I don't know where we were at before. I think it was like 330 something, maybe 41 or 42. Well, anyway, I sure appreciate it. Thank you. We're getting there. At least we're progressing and not regressing. So we'll see what happens. Thank you again. Enjoy your Friday. Let me see if there's another panel I could steer you to. I know Easy's doing verbal combat. It looked like a pretty full panel. That's really about it. I'll drop his link. Here. This might interest you. It's blood sports on a Friday night. Otherwise, I'll see you sometime tomorrow. And PF Young is streaming in the morning too for his morning show. So look him up and catch him. You can call in and fight with him too. All right. Great hanging out, and I will see everybody soon. Have a great start to your weekend. Keep rocking on. Keep rocking yourself. All right, bye.